Ridley Scott, retire, bitch.
What happened here?
Well, I didn't have an opening plan for this episode, but let's just take a moment to look back on our year-long adventure with the Alien Retrospective.
Oh, let's play some great clips from that right now.
Matthew Gringo.
Say,
Matthew
What do you-
Gringo.
what do you want?
Tell me about your life.
I was born a poor black child. I guess this alien conversation is basically about how everyone that's tried to imitate Alien has fucking failed. If you haven't seen Aliens and you're listening to this, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, you should start recording, and I'm like, and another thing about the Jews. There's something to be said about the fact that one of the few female action characters kind of dies. I watched the theatrical cut, and they make a reference that Weyland-Yutani's no more, but they don't say why.
In the special
So-
edition, they say,
Military. Oh, they went under decades ago. Get them in way before your time. Bought out by Walmart.
Fuck this movie. Fuck that
Alright.
movie.
that's right, we can talk about Prometheus now.
Oh, no.
I like the counselor a lot.
Mm.
I'm the guy.
Gee, wasn't that great?
That was the best.
Oh,
Woo.
yeah.
This is going to be the most
Whoa.
like, haphazard inserts like ever.
Yeah, just,
Fucking
it's
awkward.
the best.
Hello,
All
welcome
the
again.
moments.
Welcome back to the Waffle Press Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Diego Crespo, with me to complete, again, the Alien Retrospective series. Well, not really retrospective anymore, but anyways,
Yeah,
my
whatever.
co-host for this, Matt Garingo. Say hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Come back.
Yes.
We're here to talk about Alien Covenant. It is the movie that basically inspired our Alien Retrospective series. And
Wait, did it?
I mean, kind of. I mean, it kind of we led up to it. Maybe not like the
Well-
inciting incident, but
Just because I kind of like skimmed through our old episodes. In the first one, we're talking about the rumored Alien 5 by Neil Blomkamp. And there was no mention of a movie called Alien Covenant.
well, it didn't even have a name at the time, did it?
Yeah, but I think it was like kind of, I don't think it was being filmed when we started. I literally think, when we recorded the first episode, they were still in pre-production, and then the whole movie got finished in between the start of the fucking retrospective.
And then Neil Blomkamp's Aliens 2 died along the way.
Yep,
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's done for as long as they allow Ridley Scott to make these movies.
It might not be Neil Blomkamp's, but we'll see in Alien 5 at some point.
I really still don't want that.
No?
And I've heard a lot of people that are unhappy with this movie. Not everyone, obviously,
Mhm.
because everyone's different. They're like, we got this instead of Aliens 2,
Mhm.
and they're like upset about that because everyone always mentions wanting to see like Hicks and Newt back fighting aliens alongside Ripley, and then to that, I mean, we talked about it. Like, that's not what the franchise
Yeah.
is.
I'll say
You know, like,
I do
that's
not,
weird.
there's no part of me that wants that. It is not what I want. So,
Yeah, it's no, that's not Alien. That's a video game.
yeah.
You know, I work on Aliens, and each movie has done something mostly different since.
Hmm.
Sometimes there are similarities. I mean, every Alien movie kind of has the same rough structure.
Yeah, they
But,
do.
I think we're going to talk about that because the first thing you told me after you watched Alien Covenant was they shot it out of the airlock.
Sorry, the goddamn airlock again.
Yeah,
Which-
full spoilers. Just I'll put it in the header too, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should
full-on
probably have seen this movie if you're going to listen to this.
yeah, because we just
Um,
talk from top to bottom about these Alien movies,
Yeah.
and we're going to do that for this one too.
All right. So yeah, it got shot out of the goddamn airlock again. Well, Diego, what did you think of the movie? I want to hear like your full kind of take on it.
I really liked it. I probably love it. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I watched it. It's got like the bold ambition of Prometheus, but with like the alien tropes in there, and it introduces. Well, I mean, it didn't introduce the character, but it makes me realize how much more I love David from Prometheus when we talked about him on the show, and how great of a villain this character is. And it made me like what I was scared they were going to do was reveal the origins of the xenomorph, and they did. And I actually liked it, and I didn't think I would ever like that if someone did it. So here we are. I'm in a weird space where I even appreciate Prometheus a bit more. I think it's exciting when it needs to be, and I think it's dark. It's the darkest of the series, along with Alien 3, without a doubt. Just not all across the board like Alien 3. But in a nutshell, yeah, I really liked it. How about you?
Ridley Scott, retire, bitch. I'm sorry. I didn't hate this movie, but I didn't like it. It left the least impression on me of any of the films we've watched.
Wow. Even after Resurrection?
Resurrection was just like unbelievable in how awful it was. Like, oh my God, they let that out. But this one, I was kind of like the whole movie. I'm just like, it's competently made. It moves at a decent enough pace. And it was just deeply uninteresting. There were fleeting moments. Kind of cool. And then mostly I'm just like, these scenes just keep happening. And I know how every scene's going to end before they even start. And I want to go. And I'm like, I know how this movie's going to end. It's going to go out of the goddamn airlock. Like, I'm not, like, I said that kind of as a joke, but, like, after a while, every scene was kind of like, you know what's going to happen. And, like, from the moment, like, duplicate Michael Fassbender shows up looking like a sorcerer, you know he's, like, up to some shit. And I don't know. It really didn't do much for me. Although it made Prometheus a little better. But at the same time, I just realized I don't care about this whole tangent that these last two Alien movies have gone on. I don't think they're interesting. And I don't think these films are engaging. And I don't remember any of the characters' names, except Tennessee. And because one character was named Dallas, remember that?
Yeah.
In one of the earlier films. So now there's a guy. Did they just name kids after states? I guess that would make sense if you're a spacefaring civilization, but whatever. So I remember Tennessee as a name. I remember a girl.
Daniels.
Was that it?
Daniels, yeah. That's
okay.
That's an issue I have with the film too. There's a lot of the Alien movies after Aliens have this problem. Like Aliens does it really well, where there's like a bunch of characters and they're all mostly notable. Like you can tell who you're gonna follow, but even like the supporting cast, when the action starts, like they just lose all the character fat in that scene. It's great. And I thought Alien Covenant was gonna do that too in the first Xenomorph or Neomorph attack. And then they just like keep all these extra characters around. It's like, why are you here? Like you don't mean anything here. And
well, like when that attack happens in the field, like when it's over, they're like, we've lost 5 men. I'm like, I couldn't even keep count. I'm like, who was who? I didn't realize people had died. Because they're just so faceless.
Yeah.
And like literally, and stuff just happens to these characters. No one is driven in the film except David, which is a positive. I will say David is very fleshed out and is the most interesting part of this film. But the whole movie just seems to be like a bunch of scenes that are trying to link together David monologues. like, so he can quote fucking Paradise Lost again.
Actually, it's
Which doesn't make sense. It didn't really.
Ozymandias.
Well, yeah, but he quotes Paradise Lost too.
I missed that, I guess.
Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which doesn't fit, but whatever.
Wait, you don't think that fits?
Well, I mean, it kind of does, but like, there's no like. He wasn't like he was kind of a servant, but he wasn't like. And he's not ruling these aliens. He's just making them. And then they go ape shit, and then he's like, I've created the perfect being. And I'm like, I think you got to go back to the fucking drawing board. But all they seem to do is come alive and go ape shit. And that's about it. I think you're spitballing here, and you don't really understand what you're doing. And he's like, I'm crazy. And I'm like, okay, I guess that justifies none of this making sense.
Well, I mean, he is crazy, but I don't think that's like. It's not just like a hand waving thing away. You know, like a lot of like big budget movie villains nowadays are like, well, I'm so crazy, and then they'll just do some crazy stuff, and then you have the big third act finale. Like this one has that, but it's not an excuse. It's like it drives the narrative. And I will say that. No, go ahead.
He's very much always plotting and scheming in ways that do make sense. Not like he wasn't like completely ludicrous, but it's just like there's a good movie around that. Like the idea of just an AI fucking up just because you gave it the ability to create, like that's really cool and scary. And trying to shove it into this xenomorph size, like this peg into a xenomorph shaped hole doesn't work. It's just it's two very incompatible things, in my opinion. And it leads to a very poorly structured and poorly paced film, filled with characters you don't remember except the actors who played them. And then you're shocked Damien Bashir made it as long as he did.
Yeah, that was a big surprise for me.
Whose name I don't know. I don't want to go on too many rants just yet. But like, I didn't hate this thing. I was just very bored. And I just don't care. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, this makes, like, the difference between this and Prometheus is this one does make sense. And it explains enough. I just don't care. Like, who cares? Why did this story need to be told? What is interesting about this in the context of the Alien franchise? Because I don't think it's that interesting. And
I'm on the flip side of that, obviously, because I find it really interesting, and I would have hated hearing like, oh, Alien Covenant is going to reveal the history of the xenomorphs and where they come from. Like that is not something that would have sold me on this. That would have made me not watch it. But the way it plays out, I guess, and when I watched it the first time, because I remember how much you love robots and science fiction. I was like, at least I know what parts Matt is going to like. And I do think that was also the best parts of the movie, when David is basically both Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, but in space after his weird At the Mountains of Madness in space adventure, you know.
Like the way you just described that just makes me hate this movie.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just like, fucking Frankenstein. Let's just keep. That's a fucking well we can keep digging.
That's a good well.
I guess, but fucking do something different. Like, fucking, there's a lot. Fuck. I didn't need a Frankenstein story in the Alien, and it's not like I'm not like sitting here as like an Alien fan. Like, this ruins the integrity of Alien. I don't think that's true because it's very easy to ignore these two movies. I just don't like. It's like kind of like they go like when David's like, haha, here's the alien eggs that I've made. And I'm like, well, okay. like literally, like nothing, like none of these revelations were like, oh my God, he's been doing this. Like, it's very obvious he's evil, like the moment he shows up. I mean, not even, like the beginning sets him up as evil. But And then,
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing. Like, it's not. There are supposed to be like two moments in the movie that I think are misinterpreted as supposedly big reveals. Like, David's evil. Like, he's clearly the villain of the movie. And then later in the end, when David and Walter, the other Michael Fassbender AI, they have their fight, and then David sneaks on board the ship as Walter, right? And I think the tension from that stuff comes from knowing that's going to happen. The big reveal is going to happen, and so you're just waiting for the hammer to drop.
Yeah, knowing the twists before it's like 10 minutes before it reveals definitely didn't make that ending feel long at all. I wasn't sitting there going, oh my God, is this thing still going? And I guess these aliens burst out of chests at inconsistent times, and then grow in, what the fuck?
You
By
don't
the
think
time we
that's
get to
kind
that
of
shower scene, I'm just like Green, it's so boring. And the fucking xenomorph looked terrible. Like, just seeing it, like, in its full form, standing upright, like, it loses all its menace. And everything about the xenomorph that made it scary and made it, what made that thing frightening is just completely lost in how it is shot in this movie. Like, fucking, I'm fucking serious when I say this. Alien versus Predator shot the xenomorph better than this film does.
Oof, I can't wait to talk about that one eventually.
I'm fucking serious, dude. Like they knew how to film that thing, because they basically just ripped off every great scene from the Alien franchise. But at least they fucking kept it menacing. Ugh. You thought, did you think the xenomorph looked good?
I think I was way more interested in how the neomorphs were
When you say neomorph, I also want to stab this movie.
Stab it, do it.
It's like,
I don't care, I still love it. But no, I actually would have preferred not seeing the xenomorph in this movie and just having these weird new off-brand aliens that David's trying. So at the end of the movie, you still have the same movie, right? But instead of another xenomorph getting onto the ship, you have another one of the neomorphs, and then you get to go on the next movie, and David's like, it's not quite right yet. I need to tinker it a little bit still with the 2,000 colonists he's holding hostage now, and it's gonna turn into weird shit probably.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're just not into that at all. Like, you're just.
Well, I think here's the thing. The ending of this movie was one of those things where it was like when the final reveal,
mm-hmm.
and then David's basically stops himself short of saying, "I've got a lot of work to do," which was a line I kept waiting for, but thankfully they didn't say it. That's a great ending. That's a great way to end this movie, and it's super scary, and it's super but it's just the road to get to it. I wish it was a completely original film and not connected to the Alien films. Like
how so? Same structure, but just take out the xenomorphs?
Yeah, and just have them be just bring the black goo in, just make the black goo a different alien thing. Just make it just make it the Thing. This could have been a good Thing movie.
Oh, okay. I actually that's a big part of my notes that I saw back when we were doing the Alien 3 talk way back when, and I was editing the video together, and you mentioned that there is a draft with a different type of xenomorph that breaks out people's spines.
William Gibson wrote 2 drafts that are pretty similar, where they Hicks was going to be the main character, Bishop was going to be there. The aliens were going to be genetically modified in a way, and there were going to be no face huggers. I think there were face huggers in the first draft, but by the second draft they had cut them. And the way the new aliens arise is that they're this airborne pathogen, and a couple of crew members breathe it in, and then at some point later in the film, they kind of burst out from these fully formed aliens burst out of these people's bodies, over their skeletons.
Infected with something in the atmosphere, and it's oh, that's an alien covenant. So that makes me really happy to see that idea portrayed. What do you think about the that that medical bay scene?
Um,
Because I think that's a lot of people's highlight of the movie, even people that
is
weren't
it?
crazy about it.
Um, it's the bloodiest scene in the movie. Um, you know what was a shot I really liked in this movie? That was like genuinely unsettling. Um, I have stuff to say about the medical bay scene, but the neomorph, is that what it's called? I don't
Yeah,
even
the
know.
little white one.
When it's just standing there, there's one shot where it's just standing there with like its face completely closed and just the white like roundness of it. This is a little later. And I think David ends up talking to it, like trying to like communicate with it because he's like in love with his creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was like a genuinely unsettling shot, just because it's like kind of like it's kind of human but also not. It like rides that fine line.
I guess you could say
Uh,
it's alien.
well, it's not.
Well,
It's engineered.
okay. It's alien.
The
Sure.
alien in the Alien films are no longer aliens.
Alien in nature.
No,
Yeah, it's a double
no.
entendre.
Well, now it's a single entendre
Okay,
because
well,
it's not because it's only one of those things now.
true, true.
Um, so yeah, I'm really glad to know that now. Thanks, Ridley Scott. But all right,
All right,
this is
let's
something where I really do not know how fair or unfair I'm being to a movie when I'm watching a science fiction film, and these are supposed to be, colonists, and I'm guessing they have a game plan
Mm-hmm.
for when they get to the planet they're going to. And except when they get there in the movie, they take a detour, but when they get to a planet in the movie, they feel like they're just winging it and take no safety precautions. And like I saw people being like, "Oh, you're going to criticize a gorgeous-looking Ridley Scott film of her characters making dumb decisions." And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's not that they're making dumb decisions; they're not making any decisions. Like they're not going like, okay, when we land, here's the game plan. Like let's set up a perimeter. Let's set up some housing, or let's make sure we can actually breathe the atmosphere. Let's do a couple tests." Like real quick. Like even if they just go like the scanning device says everything's good, then I'm like, okay. But they like it just feels like, and they're just like, all right, we landed. Hey, look, wheat. Hey, look, an alien ship.
You felt it was
Like they
very
keep,
like just by the motions.
yeah, by the motions, and they're making discoveries that are like reality altering. Like they mention the planet they're going to, they're going to have to terraform before they can even land on it. And suddenly they find this planet that not only can they go on immediately, they can. There's wheat on it, which means that someone's been there. And everyone just goes like, "Hey, look, wheat." It's like, isn't it weird that that's out here? And that's about it. Like, it doesn't get like literally the moment you find wheat is when you have to like, let's stop the brakes for a second. Like, this shouldn't be here. Like, are we in the right place? Like, let's double check our readings. Let's do something. Let's just scan if there's any like signals around here other than this one. And then you walk a little further and you find an alien spaceship. And everyone's just like, wow, look at that. And like, motherfucker, like that's it. Like I get it. In Alien, they find a ship, but they're not like they're reacting like, can you believe this? Like it's a scary situation, and they're acting cautious in Alien, and they're just trying to find a source of a signal, which seems to be a distress signal.
Well, the same circumstances still apply here. Remember, because look, I think there's a couple things people should take into consideration. Is that they just lost a handful of people after some solar storm or something in space, right? And then James Franco gets a paycheck and dies in like 5 seconds. It's like the saddest cameo ever.
I don't know what that was all about. I don't even care though.
Yeah, I got no idea. I'll go back to that too. But when they're going down to the planet, like they're not being dumb. I think they're acting out of fear, just because
Well, no, I
they
get
don't want to go back to sleep in that environment anymore.
there's totally a great setup with, look, do we really want to risk another 7-year trip? They basically say they have 7 years to their destination.
Mm-hmm.
Where anything can go wrong, like that. What just happened, like we're already kind of limping to the finish line here. Or do we want to take a chance on this planet that, by all indications, by these scans, is totally fine? I'm totally fine with that setup. I'm not against them going to the planet. I just think that once they get there, like maybe just send, the guys who seem to be like cops. I don't know what they are. They have guns.
Maybe it's supposed to be security people. I mean, that the characterization is kind of weak in the movie for the most part.
Just send them, and send like 3 of them. Don't send your whole crew, because you need those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need the botanist. Like, you don't need the botanist on the planet.
Yeah.
You need the botanist up on the ship, and bring them down later when you've secured the area. And I'm just saying, like, you would think these people would have some sort of game plan. And even in Prometheus, when they made dumb decisions, there was always, like, they were kind of being chastised for it, and there was kind of, like, they had an attitude of, like, what, we're rebels, we're going to take risks. Which, kind of made that a little bit all right. It just made you hate those characters. And, like, Billy Crudup is totally in the position of being, like, Damien Bashir could have been like, hey, I don't think it's safe to do it the way you're doing it. And Billy Crudup's like, I'm in charge. Like, he's kind of got, like, a hard-on for wanting people to respect him, so it might lead to him making bad decisions. But it's never treated like he's making bad decisions. It's barely treated like he's making desperate decisions. It kind of just feels like they're like, let's go. Like, there's one moment when that one girl objects, the main girl.
Daniels.
And that's the only scene. I'm not going to remember her name.
Well, let me ask you this. What did you like about the movie?
I like David. I thought the idea of, like, just giving him the ability to create and then kind of giving him access to world-altering weapons and, like, all of this sort of biological material, I thought that was really interesting. I wish it had been in a better movie.
I like the black goo a lot in this one. I didn't care for it in Prometheus because I was just like, why? But here it feels like a scary entity now. Like, just the visual of the spores entering people's, like, nasal cavities or their ears, and it's just like it's really unsettling to me. I don't know. I really like Ridley Scott just diving horror with this one. Like, it's genuinely, like, it reminded me of, like, Cronenberg, the medical base scene specifically. I
guess, but again, like, I felt detached from it because I'm like, these people should be wearing helmets. Like, I'm sorry, I know that's, like, a very, like, I don't think it's a nitpick, though, to go, like, these people should be a little more precaution, like, to the point where, so when they get infected, I'm like, of course you did. Like, what the fuck? Did you read about what happened when we came over to the Americas? Like, that should have been in your template. Like, what happened when we tried to colonize the New World? Like, oh, everyone died? Like, literally, like, 12 people lived in Jamestown after 1 year? And they brought over hundreds? Like, yeah. Maybe think, and that was just across an ocean. Now imagine that, like, in space, and they're not, and these people don't seem to be at, like, the whims of, like, a Weyland-Yutani type group that, like, would make, like, rush decisions, or, like, being like, oh, we got to get there before, I don't know, the Russians get there or some bullshit. Like, like, there's no corporate hack, like, rushing, like, really dangerous decisions. And it just, it rings hollow, and it makes all the characters feel cardboard. Like, because they're not doing things that would, like, because they're not going there. No one who went there signed up for the horrific alien adventure. But that's all they seem to be equipped for. And until they get there, they have nothing to do. Like, shouldn't they have been doing other things when they landed that, like, maybe would have been what they did when they landed on the planet they were going to?
Well, they weren't there to terraform it right away. Remember, they were searching for the signal that they.
Yeah, and again, why bring the whole crew?
Fair point.
Like, send 2 guys. Like, that's all you need.
More than 2. If there's like a missing signal from a human being across the galaxy, I could see sending more people. I don't get why you send all those people, because the only crew members that stay on board the Covenant are one of them being Danny McBride with his awesome hat. But yeah, that's a little, I guess.
I'm just saying, like, it leads to characters like they don't act like their job. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the captain doesn't act like the captain even. And I get it, he's not the real captain because James Franco died. But like I thought that was a great setup at the beginning. Like suddenly there's a guy who kind of feels like this, power void, and he's kind of struggling to fill it. But that doesn't really go anywhere. Neither does his fucking comment where he's like, the reason they don't trust me is because I'm a man of faith. And that goes like literally nowhere. He's a man of faith, but also doesn't believe in luck, which is interesting, but whatever. And he's also written by like a man of faith by like someone who's never been faithful in their entire life.
Well, how
like
so?
I don't know what. Like he's just like, I'm a man of faith. That's not what faithful people are like. He would have said something like, I trust God in this situation. He would have been more specific about what he has faith in. like what does he believe Jesus is actually going to like help him in the situation, which a lot of people do in stressful situations. I mean, about 75% of the politicians out there will say in like every speech that they believe what they're doing is God's will.
Mm-hmm.
And so he could have just said something like that. And what the fuck happened in the future where we're prejudiced towards people of faith? Like that's never existed for Christianity in the modern world. Like, was there like a Christian uprising that went really bad? Is this like the aftermath of the Handmaid's Tale?
Okay, I think this last part is kind of a nitpick, though. I can understand where you're coming from in how the story or the movie doesn't fully divulge its ideas on faith entirely with the character, but I mean the last bit feels a little.
But why bring it up?
I feel like originally there was more for the character to do when talking to David, because David, while not driven by faith, he's driven by the desire to create. What he creates is ultimately a destructive force. It's on the nose, but it's kind of biblical, because if you read the Bible, that shit ain't subtle. And there's this really interesting idea where something that humanity creates ultimately is leading to their destruction and has already destroyed their creators. And by the way, is that like it for the engineers then? Like, was this their home planet, or did they just like, oh, we got to close off loop from Prometheus because people wanted to see an Alien sequel?
There's a 2-minute clip in this movie that I guarantee was the script Paradise Lost. Like that I mentioned in the Prometheus video.
Yeah.
Like that's what that is. It's Paradise Lost. And they just said, fuck it, let's skip the Covenant. Which also, all right, back up, because Covenant is a religious word.
Yeah.
So why is he the only one of faith? And also there's a girl with a Jewish star that they like make sure you notice that she's wearing. And that goes nowhere either. I just don't Ridley Scott throws out all these pointed references and they add up to nothing, and it just frustrates me. Because it feels very much like a guy who's like thinks it's really interesting that God spelled backwards is dog. Like that's about as deep as this movie gets in terms of religious shit. And it doesn't seem to understand people of faith or people who lack faith. It doesn't seem to understand human beings in general, which might explain why the androids are the best written characters in this film.
I think the characters as a whole are still the weakest parts of the film. I think when it's not spending time explaining things, it's showing it very well. But it all revolves around
No,
David.
it's not.
No? You don't think so?
No, I don't think. If the problem is you're occupying the frame with these characters, like it's not something you can just brush aside and be like, yeah, I know the characters suck, but the grander picture of this is, and I'm not asking for like deep characters. I just need characters that function like human beings. And like the thing is, they, like when David shows up and they get whisked away, and they suddenly end up in the fucking engineer center where there's all these corpses, and suddenly the remnants of an alien civilization. Literally, no one asks what it is. No one goes, "What is this place?" That all happens later, but only between David and the other robot. Like the moment I walked into a room that's like nothing but tens of thousands of corpses in this courtyard, I want to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, am I literally in hell now? Like, because that's the first thing I would think. Like, did we find hell? Did we end up in hell? But no one asks anything. And they just go, all right, yeah, we're here now. Thanks. Oh, you're from the Prometheus, that ship that went missing? Okay.
I trust you.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not frustrating in the way Prometheus was, because I don't feel like Prometheus made you feel like every like really pointed reference added up to something. And like Alien Covenant doesn't feel that way. You kind of get the gist of what's going on, even if you don't totally understand all the subtext that's getting thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not that interesting.
Wow, we're very much on the opposite. I think this is the first time in the Alien series that we've done that we're like total opposites. Like Alien Resurrection, I think we deferred, but that's a whole other.
I think I won
thing.
you over on Alien Resurrection a little bit.
I fucking hated talking about it.
Because fuck that movie.
See, that one I think is boring. This I think it's just so. I don't know if it's all really goofy. Like it's not like totally like a prestige picture, or it's filmed like a prestige picture, but the concepts are obviously like really fucking silly and
I actually don't think that.
No?
I think there's some really like. You could have gotten a whole movie out of a lot of these ideas without the xenomorphs.
Oh, you totally could.
Fucking cut like literally everything and just make the movie David talking to his counterpart. That's a whole movie. You could have done that. And like David's like put everyone in cryo sleep. And just have and David slowly like muscling his way into taking over the cryopods.
That sounds like a really weird version of Moon.
Yeah, see, and like Moon's fucking great. Do Moon and then have Moon have the literal darkest ending imaginable. But that doesn't sell tickets, and you can't put the xenomorph on the poster.
That's true, and apparently that's not even helping the movie domestically. Like internationally, it's gonna make its money back, but
it did less than Prometheus did.
Yeah, which is shocking.
Which shows they either like blew their load on Prometheus and now no one trusts them, or that people actually they don't want another Alien movie.
Which goes to your point, how you were saying throughout the entire retrospective that you think the Alien franchise might be done for a little while.
I think it's completely done. I think just stop put the brakes on everything. Don't make another one for a long time. Like literally the last Alien movie I could be interested in seeing, like concept-wise, is the aliens finally getting to Earth. Like, that's the last movie I can think of that I'd be that interested in seeing.
It's funny that you mentioned that because Ridley Scott in an interview mentioned that, like offhandedly, but in a Ridley Scott way, the end of the day he wants to make it War of the Worlds.
Fuck me.
You're both as a producer, exec producer, and a director. You're incredibly prolific, but you're not a man that usually goes back onto old ground.
No.
So what was it about the Alien kind of universe that's made you instilled this passion in you to create several more movies?
Frustration. I felt it shouldn't be dead and it should be running. Star Wars is still running. I mean, the Alien franchise should be into War of the Worlds now. That's where I'm going.
Is that the plan? Because
right.
I've heard the next one is what
they don't know yet. But that's what we're doing, Fox.
Which is the exact wrong take to do. Fucking Ridley Scott retire, bitch.
Okay, so why? Before I get into more of the reasons why I like it, because I've just kind of let you off the chain right now. But why is War of the Worlds with aliens the wrong direction?
Well, War of the Worlds is yeah, that conjures up just images of like the tripods and lasers. And I'm thinking in that terms, and it also has like the biggest cop-out ending ever, which made sense when the book was written in like 1889 or whatever, which is crazy to think about how old that book is. Great book, you all should read it, even though it's got some social Darwin racism in it, but whatever. I just feel like it'd be like I think of like an Outbreak type movie, I think it would play out more like 28 Days Later than War of the Worlds.
That sounds like extremely my shit because I am a huge fan of 28 Days Later, and I personally think we need more good Outbreak movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last good one was Contagion.
Yeah. Well, remember, Contagion was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like The Thing. Remember The Thing, the whole threat of like what happens if it gets to a civilized area, like how we're all dead.
Yeah.
The moment that happens, so imagine that scenario with the alien, and now that you've added like all this black goo nonsense, like you can do all sorts of like fucked up, horrifying shit.
Yeah.
Like just like have it like slowly mixing with like all life on Earth. Like you get some nightmarish shit in it.
Mm-hmm. Like what would a bird look like? I know.
Yeah.
There had like a lot of old toys from the Alien days. Like it's all over the Xeno Wikipedias and whatnot. It's like flying xenomorphs and bull and elephant xenomorphs and weird shit. They look like little kid toys, but with someone who's like committed and like a really good visualist, Ridley Scott.
No,
that could be some really creepy imagery.
Get the people who work with Ridley Scott and then leave Ridley Scott locked in a room with some crayons.
No, I think I want him to at least finish like this prequel trilogy.
No, I don't want another one. I'm done. I'm very done.
I want it so badly.
I don't want to get to the point where we're on LV 426.
I have a theory about that.
I don't need to know
until later.
I don't need to know how that happens.
Okay.
But
let's talk about that stuff at the end of the episode. Let me explode with joy at Alien Covenant.
Why?
Introductions aside, I think the character introductions, like the characterizations themselves, are weak. There's that little YouTube clip of them at their Last Supper, right? And that should have been in the movie, just to give you a hint of how these people get along with one another.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
No.
Last Supper just made me go like fucking ouch. Like fucking keep in mind, this is the same franchise where one of those engineers is supposed to be Jesus.
Oh yeah, that is.
Like that derails all of this.
Bad. I like
that. There's your argument against Ridley Scott having anything to do with these films. That is the dumbest idea ever.
It doesn't come into play at all. It doesn't bother me.
It's dumb. Moronic.
It's fine. I leave it as is. Um, where was I? Okay, yeah. Sloppy introductions. But once the movie gets going and it starts ratcheting up the tension, like Prometheus did this really well for me at the end too. And you said that's where you tapped out extra in that movie. I think when Ridley Scott focuses like on building this horror momentum, and he starts really like tightening like the guitar strings of like the movie, and like it literally bursts from the screen for me. Like I was on the edge of my seat, holding my breath when the neomorph starts like bursting out of the guy's back, and it's just it's so gnarly. It rivals the cesarean section scene for me in Prometheus, which I just did not expect would be touched at all because that scene fucked me up forever. And I really love David, and I love, you brought it up earlier, how it looks like these characters wandered into hell. And again, it's not subtle, but I'm fascinated with this idea in the Alien series where there's always aliens as the villains, but there's always a second villain. And in the original trilogy, it's Weyland-Yutani. And in Alien Resurrection, it's fucking everyone fucking up in life and the production. But in the prequel trilogy, it looks like David is that secondary antagonist, or maybe even the foremost antagonist. In this case, the aliens and the engineers and everything else, they're secondary to him. And it's really his story more so than the discovery of the xenomorphs. And so he creates this own version of hell, you know, but with weird Lovecraftian space monsters instead of
Don't mention Lovecraft. How dare you? How dare you? Lovecraft was a horrible racist, but how dare you besmirch his name by connecting into these films? Oh my god.
Yeah, I find it so fascinating that this character, he's basically like space Lucifer now. Instead of a fallen angel, he's a twisted android who wants to destroy and create and just complete a circle of life. Because he's usually with like a robot type character, the position a writer or creator puts him in is they want to be the only thing that matters. Like you saw that with Ultron most recently, you know, and that can get kind of boring. But here he just wants to be better. He doesn't want to be the only thing, but he wants to be the best thing. And that's a really great villain motivation. It's so simple and yet not, you know?
Sure.
I lost you like way back then, huh?
Yeah, a little. I mean,
Okay.
I think there might be a little more going on with David than you're giving him credit for. But that's a whole, like, I could go on like a million tangents about artificial intelligence in film. And when I do that, I'm supposing Ridley Scott also had these conversations, which I very much doubt he did, considering the other stuff in this movie. So, yeah, I don't know. Like the thing you mentioned is like there's, you know, like the moment when like the shit hits the fan moment when like the two guys like basically explode. And there's like the rush to the medical bay thing and like, oh, we got to quarantine. Although no one ever says quarantine.
Really not?
But
I
she's
could
like,
have sworn.
the girl literally goes like, don't let him touch anything, which is hysterical because he's like literally touching everything. Which I'm fine with. That's totally fine. Like, because that's kind of like on purpose.
Yeah, and I kind of I get very defensive about that scene. Like I get the terraforming stuff and the first expeditionary force. Like, all right, maybe they should have probably taken extra precautions, and maybe that's just kind of lazy screenwriting or whatever. But like in that scene, when shit's hitting the fan and everyone's horrified and things are bursting out of people's bodies, and it's just nothing like anything you've ever seen before. Like, I get that. That's people are horrified.
I get being panicked. I get being panicked, but it felt like maybe they should have had at least like one thing. But I don't know.
Like when she slips on the blood, and then she shoots up into the ceiling, and then just like she hurts her foot on the way out. Like that's hilarious, but I also I relate. Sure, I make bad decisions under pressure too.
Yeah. I wasn't sure about the idea of them bringing guns to space, but I guess if you're going to be dealing with, what is it, like 2,000 people, I guess maybe have 12 shotguns.
Yeah.
um,
And assault rifles or whatever.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. But I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, that's where it got, I'll have to rewatch it to figure out exactly what didn't work for me. Because you don't realize a movie's not working until it doesn't work, you know? Because, I'm watching the movie, and, that all that shit goes down, and the ship blows up, and now they're stuck, and there's two fucking albino things running around. And you're that should be the moment where I'm like, fucking what the fuck? I should be on the edge of my seat. And I'm just not. And I don't know why. I can't tell you why it didn't totally work for me.
Yeah, I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts if you ever rewatch it. Because for me, that's exactly how I felt. I was just like, wow, what the fuck? To paraphrase you. And just, I was losing myself in the audience. And also, this is the first official Alien movie I've seen in theaters. Which was a really cool experience. Just as a quick tangent. And so, when the alien egg reveal happens, you're like, oh, of course. And then the egg opens up, and Billy Crudup is like, what's that? And he's like, oh, look inside, it's safe. Everyone just kind of chuckling because it's total fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just fun, that experience.
Yeah, I don't get those moments because I've seen a couple Alien films in theaters. I saw AVP in theaters. I mean, Jesus.
The first one or the second one?
The first one. I've never seen the second one.
Oh, God. We'll talk about that eventually, but it's
actually I've tried watching it, but it was so dark I couldn't tell what was happening.
Yeah, that's the whole movie.
So I maybe watched it and I just don't remember any of it. But I don't have those fanboy moments. They've kind of been lost on me. Of holy shit, it's opening up. It was just kind of and also that was in the preview, which I desperately tried to avoid, but towards the end, they became unskippable ads on every website. So I saw that alien egg opening up a dozen times. So I'm I know this scene's gonna happen.
Yeah, just like how if you've seen any of the trailers, you know that the xenomorph makes it back onto the Covenant ship.
Yeah,
kind of sells a different movie.
Maybe that's why I just wasn't in it, because in the back of my head, I wasn't actively thinking it. Although the moment I did start thinking about stuff in the preview was after they killed one of those xenomorphs, and it looks like everything's good now. And I was like, wait a minute, wasn't there a shower scene in one of those previews? And I'm did they cut that? That's weird. And then that scene, of course, happened. That was the only time I actively thought about the previews, but maybe I was keeping all the stuff I remember from trailers in the back of my head, and that was affecting my enjoyment of the movie. Because I think I only actively watched the first preview that came out, and I think that even that gives too much away.
Yeah, in hindsight, they needed better trailer editors. And the first trailer is okay. It's a cool little announcement, but the second one I think is way better, and that gives way too much away, and you don't even realize it when you're watching it. At least for the
that's why I avoided it.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much they gave away. It's shocking.
And so that might have affected my enjoyment on a visceral sense of the tension, because I knew, I saw the ship blowing up in the first preview, so I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and it's what I worried about in the preview. It's cut the same way the scene is in the movie, the order of her shooting the gun and then the ship blows up. And I was like, oh, there's no way that they just gave that away. And they did.
The only thing that they avoided, thankfully, was I thought that was the main ship. So I didn't realize that, we'd be having I thought that was like they were literally showing me the end of the movie. I didn't realize that was the end of like the first act. So
Yeah.
that was at least welcome.
Yes. It's weird because they don't give any of the middle act stuff away. Like,
Yeah.
not really. They give you glimpses of like the necropolis, and you get like glimpses of David, but you don't get full David stuff, which is really cool. At least, if they had to save something, that's the stuff you want to save.
That's the stuff you want to see. They only showed the egg, which they really shouldn't have shown.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
They shouldn't have shown any Xenomorph stuff in the previews or in the movie for that matter. I'm sorry. That's one thing. Like, it's a big hang up for me.
No, it's fine. Y'all got them.
Like, I went home and like I immediately like started watching clips from Alien on my phone. And it's just like, that scene with like Harry Dean Stanton in the original and just how scary it is, and it's still scary to this day, how it just like droops down. And like the way it's shot, like you can never really make out what it looks like. And this movie, like the whole time you just see it all. It's like if Ridley Scott had CGI back then, this is how Alien would have looked. And that's terrible.
I disagree, because we already know how the Xenomorph looks a lot. Like, we've seen it countless times by this point. And so his interests, you could tell, like, his interest isn't in so much the Xenomorph, it's in what the Xenomorph came from, and that's David. And so you still get the big money shots, the big action set pieces with the Xenomorph. And yeah, it doesn't look great. But there are individual moments where I think it looks creepy and striking. Like, obviously, the money shot in the trailer, too, where it's bashing its head against the window and it does like that insectoid type stand. You don't think that's creepy?
It's moving way too quick. I don't know. There's something about just the jerkiness of like old special effects that adds to the terror for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you can only really see flashes of it, because if you show too much of it, you realize how fake it looks.
Yeah. Which is a problem with the CG in this movie. They hold too long on it.
They hold way too long on it, and it's acting in a way that wasn't really scary to me. Like it was more goofy. It was more just like it looked like a dude just with like his teeth showing, just hitting his head against the glass. Like I didn't think of like, oh shit, this is the alien that you can't destroy with acid for blood. That's what like makes those things so scary, is that like you can't do anything to them, because the moment you do, you end up fucking yourself over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes those aliens scary. But here there was just nothing. It just felt like it was just a weird like a Wolverine kinda. Like it was like very scrappy.
Wolverine.
Like like scrappy.
Yeah, no, yeah. I
Like
get what you're saying.
Which like alleviates the terror a little bit for me.
I want to hop over back to the Neomorph really quick, but I also want to give a quick shout out to the scene where the survivors of the Covenant ground team are making it to Danny McBride's ship, who is like really good in this movie. He doesn't have a lot to do, but he's a quality actor, man. I didn't expect that. And the Xenomorph looks over like the plateau of the necropolis, and they're running back to the ship, and it's like a shot straight out of Jurassic Park with the raptor looking at the kids. No.
Yeah, sure.
Not well, that I don't know why. I thought that looked great. I was like giddy in my seat at that, how scary that was to me.
I don't know, man.
All right, well,
I think I'm just sick of looking at the Xenomorph.
That's fine. So let's talk about the Neomorph. I love the way that thing moves. It looks like a little. Have you ever seen Zaboomafoo?
No, actually, no.
Okay, well, it's about a lemur, and he's an educational lemur on PBS from back in the day. It's like if Zaboomafoo was a crackhead. Like, that's how the Neomorph looks to me.
How does the Neomorph move differently than the Xenomorph in this film?
It looks more like a monkey. The Xenomorph looks like a CGI creation. The Neomorph, obviously, too, but it feels more tangible to me for whatever reason.
I don't know. They both felt very CGI to me, even in moments when they weren't CGI.
That shot you mentioned when David's trying to like communicate with it, yeah, that's unsettling as fuck. And I really wish that this movie just had the Neomorphs. I don't think the Xenomorphs are necessary at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that.
And if they did have to have one, just have the one at the very end. If you had to do it, you didn't need more than one. But
Yeah, you didn't need the double scare.
Yeah.
To drag the fucking thing out.
Yeah,
just so you can shoot it out of the airlock again.
Yeah,
like literally, I thought like, hey, they didn't shoot it out of the airlock.
And then they do.
And then they did.
Great. I like what's happening in that scene because of what it means to David. Not so much if it's exciting for the audience, because by that point the movie's like, all right, let's wrap up. I'm still into it. Obviously, you are not, but it was still working for me. But then when I thought about what it meant for David, he's watching like what he believes to be his best creation facing off against this crew of humans, and he's like, it's really creepy. He's like so fascinated. He's so into it, and he's helping Daniels and Tennessee, right? Yeah, along and their fight. But he's like, does he really want them to win, or is he just like playing with them? You know, just like, oh, let's see if this happens. Like, Michael Fassbender's so fucking good in this movie because he can communicate so much just like with his posture and his eyes. Like even back to the opening scene with Wayland, you can tell like even in like his first couple minutes of being alive, he's like working things out in his head, you know, and so that carries over through the rest of the film, and that is a great performance for a great character by a great actor, and I am completely in love with Ridley Scott's fascination with David.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult. His performance felt very like Data from Star Trek to me. And I'm not like really saying that like in an insulting way or anything. That's what it reminded me of a lot. Although he makes both of the androids very distinct, which was enjoyable.
Yeah, I really like that too. And he brought back his accent from the counselor for Walter, which made me happy. Just me.
I think it would have been hysterical if someone called the android out on trying an accent. Be like, why are you doing that, man? It doesn't work.
Oh yeah, because his accent's not the best.
I get it because it's mostly Americans on this. You wanted to try an American accent, but buddy, just don't. That would have been funny.
Yeah. So let's talk about the best part of the movie, which is clearly the two androids.
The end?
Okay, well, the end. But the two androids...
It's finite running time?
Just talking to each other, and there's this weird, almost like sensual relationship at one point. Like, the line isn't subtle again, where David tells...
And I'll let you know, the drunk college frat boys 3 rows ahead of me were very mature about all of this.
Oh, clearly. With I'll do the fingering. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I must have loved that.
It was...
I also have a little theory about the two characters, because obviously Walter is quote-unquote killed, and David replaces him to get onto the ship. If he's not dead, and David just like inserted his own consciousness into his body, I would be interested in seeing the two like have inner monologues with one another, like just Michael Fassbender's talking like David at 1 second, and then
you know what? It's weird you bring it's weird you bring that up, because all right, you might have to cut this because I like can't elaborate on it enough. But I have a short story collection by George R. R. Martin. And one of the stories in it is a story called Night Flyers. And it's a science fiction horror story. And reading it, there were a lot of parallels to Prometheus. Including there is a planet in it called Prometheus. And it was very bizarre to read. And then that you mentioned this, that's actually the twist at the end of the story, is that there's an artificial intelligence that is actually multiple consciousnesses.
Wow.
And literally, like, stuff was happening in it that made me go, did Ridley Scott read this? Because they're also looking for, like, gods that created or that passed by Earth during the time of Jesus Christ.
Wow, that is shockingly similar in nature.
Like, it really made me go, like, I think Ridley Scott might have read this.
Well, he's a George R. R. Martin fan. Who isn't these days?
I guess, yeah. He's clearly a fan of the film This Is the End because he cast two of the actors from it.
That's like just my fucking favorite thing ever. Now you're gonna look at like the trajectory of Danny McBride and James Franco's performances together, and then randomly it's gonna be Alien Covenant, like after Pineapple Express, and This Is the End.
Well, it's great.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Okay, so the ending is the best part of the movie to you. Why?
Because it's over.
Want to try again?
No, all right. Well, I really do like the sting at the end of now David has access to all these, cryogenically frozen people. And he plays the really on the nose Wagner song. And that's a good ending. That's how you end a horror. Like when you read like a Stephen King short story and like the last paragraph suddenly makes you go like, oh my God. Like that's how you end a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the journey there was not super interesting.
I can respect that.
I mean, I just the philosophy of the movie wasn't interesting. The characters weren't interesting. Like, I really don't care about seeing the girl or Danny McBride ever again. Like Danny McBride gave a good, like through no fault of either of the actors. Like none of the actors do a bad job. They're just not given enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a couple moments where they're each given something, and they get a moment to shine and they do a good job, but there's not enough to make me go like, hey, can't wait to see him again. And it just made me want to go home and watch Alien. Because, like, that's a great movie.
That is a great movie. There's three great Alien movies.
There's three, exactly, and no more.
I still really like this one. And it's not as close to Alien 3 as maybe I hoped it would be. But it's up there for me. So, like, I will say there's four good ones now.
All these movies just made me appreciate Alien 3 even more. Because at least in Alien 3 doesn't get shot out of a goddamn airlock.
Oh my God, that's the only one where it doesn't, huh?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. And Prometheus doesn't even have a xenomorph, so that doesn't count, right?
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Fuck, that's crazy. That's like the Death Star complaint for Star Wars, even though it's only in 3 movies out of like 10 or whatever.
Well, you know what it's really like? It's like in Jaws, every movie except Jaws 2, the shark blows up.
Oh, fuck, that's right.
Like, that's it. Like, Jaws 2 is the only one where someone got a little creative and be like, hey, let's electrocute the shark. Which I think they only did because it originally blew up in the ending and the effect didn't work. So they had to change it. It's actually, you know what? These movies made me think a lot about Jaws.
And how
so I was
they
thinking,
get
like,
progressively worse.
Well, let's say they make a movie like this year called like Jaws Covenant, and it's set like in the past, and we like discover these these time travelers, and they went back in time to the age of the dinosaurs, and they ended up creating sharks. And then we learn like all this backstory about like the egomaniac behind sharks, who like wanted to be the devil. Because in Jaws, the advertisement for Jaws, they say a shark is as if as if God created the devil and gave him Jaws. That's the slogan from the trailer.
Wow.
And then we go through human history, and it turned out Jesus Christ was actually a shark. And because he got crucified, he ended up being really pissed. So a bunch of sharks decided to sink the Indianapolis. And then we see that whole movie, except we learn like that the Indianapolis disaster was like engineered by genetically created sharks. And then we learn that the one shark that got away from that was the shark in Jaws. Like, doesn't that improve Jaws so much?
No, God, no. And I wouldn't say that this improves Alien or lessens it for me. It simply is another movie that I really like in the franchise. So they're probably going to make another one of these, at least one more. I know Ridley Scott wants to make like a dozen or whatever.
Ridley Scott is like about to drop dead like any moment.
I know, that's why I want him to keep making these for as long as humanly possible for him.
I hope
know
he
you don't
dies
like
on the
him.
set.
Oh no!
That's what he deserves at this point.
Oh no way!
I'm sorry. It's
No,
just
no. Go back to your other slogan. Ridley Scott, retire, bitch.
Ridley Scott, retire, bitch, and then die.
No way.
All right, Ridley Scott, just get a guy that stands next to Ridley Scott. And whenever he starts going off, like pontificating about the nature of gods and mortals, just slap him.
Well, yeah, I have a theory about that too. Like, I think it's just I mean, this happened before Blade Runner 2 when his brother died then, and Blade Runner like reeks of sadness and like loneliness.
Oh, yeah.
And I think to varying degrees of success since the passing of Tony Scott, I think he's really been questioning his own ideas of faith and mortality.
Oh yeah,
life, you know.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was just going to chalk it up to like midlife crisis.
No,
At the end of his life, but no, that does make a lot of sense. But it feels like a guy. Like, I wouldn't consider that a compliment because it feels like a guy who's never really asked these questions before, asking them really late in life and not totally thinking about it.
And maybe that is the case, but
because people have asked much like these are ideas, these are well-trodden paths in like fiction and literature and film, and they're not really challenging or that interesting. And I'm glad he's going on his spiritual journey, but it does nothing for me.
And it does a whole lot for me.
No, it doesn't.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I like it the more I think about it, and I cannot wait.
You're gonna
to
rewatch it, and it's gonna bug you.
No,
it's gonna be painful to rewatch.
No, it's not. It's not Alien Resurrection. This is the good stuff.
When did you realize Prometheus wasn't that good?
I didn't like Prometheus nearly as much as I hoped I would when I finally saw it, and then I like it more in theory than I ever do when I watch it. I like, oh yeah, no, I like Prometheus a lot, and then I sit down and watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, it keeps me like at a distance. It's like someone I care about a lot, but they're like, no, like they'll do something that annoys me, and I'll be like, I still like you, but don't do that again.
But seriously, other than David, like, do you really want to revisit these characters?
I actually really like Daniels, and even though the other characters just have like one personality trait, even if it doesn't
she has
like
two.
I like him well enough, but I like the ideas more, and I like Walter and David a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like,
whatever.
I don't know. I make like the hard eyes emojis whenever David's on screen now.
Well, I don't like him. I think he's a real creepy asshole.
No. I mean, like as a horror creation, like that's a fascinating villain, you know.
I do, but he's also like he's so creepy. Like I like this is like parts that I like. 'Cause he's like so genuinely creepy. He's not really like he's not like Anton Chigurh, where like I think about that character a lot, just how intense that character is.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like fucking Noah Cross in Chinatown. You know, like just the most disgusting human being ever.
And he's not even human.
And he's not even human. Yeah,
I really like that even though they don't go fully formed with it again, because obviously they don't have any more of Giger's designs. Ridley Scott still understands that the gender politics of the Alien franchise need like to be a consistent through line. And so there's this really horrifying moment where David powers himself over Daniels, and it's really
I think that was
unsettling.
unnecessary.
I would be open to not having it in the movie, but I think it's really unsettling.
Using like sexual assault and rape imagery for really kind of cheap, like, get it? And you didn't need it. You could have done that in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And this is already a movie about being violated. I mean, all the Alien films are about being violated.
Yeah.
You didn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
You could have just grabbed her or something. Like, you don't need... You just need him backing her into a corner, really.
Yeah. Maybe less is more there.
Yeah, I really do. I think that... Because it wasn't, like, creepy in a, like, where you get that he could do something like that. It was like, oh, he is doing something like that. And then you're like, why am I watching this? It's not like, I don't know. I felt that maybe crossed the line a little bit.
That's fair. Yeah, that's obviously a very important topic, and if it's not addressed properly, you're kind of just using it for shock.
There's no offense to, like, you know, the great gender politics of this franchise, but I think that James Cameron probably has a little more to do with that than Ridley Scott.
Oh yeah,
I think Ridley Scott was smart enough to make, you know, a woman. But I think it was more just because Ridley Scott was kind of really infatuated with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when he made Alien, which is what he basically said he was trying to emulate. He said he wanted to make Texas Chainsaw in space. And I think that's the main reason why we have a final girl. I mean, because like literally Alien ends up, I mean, at the end of Alien, you know, she's in her underwear.
Yeah, it's not
exactly subtle.
Yeah, and it's not
it's not an empowering moment.
Yeah, that's the word. It's awkward for sure.
And I mean, and say what you want about James Cameron falling back on like maternal shit, which, you know, has its own kind of can of worms when it comes to like, why do so many empowered women always have to be about the fact that they give birth? You know, like, can't it be a little more dynamic? But then by the time you get to Alien 3, like, she's a total, like, just fucking unstoppable character. Like, I think he's trying to keep that tradition going, but not really understanding how. I don't know. I've never seen Thelma and Louise.
Oh.
So, I don't know how Ridley Scott really comes across when it comes to, like, gender politics in his films. Just based on some of the stuff I've seen, he's never been super great. But
you haven't seen The Counselor?
There's definitely not female empowerment going on in that film. As much as the film maybe thinks it has in female empowerment in it, that's not what that is.
That's like a horror movie in its own right, but I would love to talk about The Counselor some other time too.
What's her face? What's the girl's name in it?
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz fucks a car.
Car windshield. So.
No, she fucks the car. That's what they say. Javier Bardem's in it.
Javier Bardem's great. Oh my god. Okay, so you know how that's like Ridley Scott's Tony Scott movie?
Sure.
Okay. It's total. Tony Scott would have made the shit out of that movie. God rest his soul.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I would have killed to have seen what a Tony Scott Alien movie would have looked like.
I wouldn't.
No?
Look, I love Tony Scott. I think Tony Scott is really underrated, except for Top Gun, which is not a good movie.
It's like the Space Jam of the 80s.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Or it's like, yeah, that's funny that exists, and that's where the joke ends.
But Tony Scott's like such his own voice. I just, you know, stick to his thing. You know, I don't want a Tony Scott Alien film. I don't want a Ridley Scott Alien film, apparently. I don't want another James Cameron one. I'd maybe want to give it to David Fincher again, just to see him basically hate fuck the audience. Just out of spite.
Oh my god, what would that even be like? I'd be there day one, opening line, the whole shebang.
Here's a novel idea. Give the Alien franchise to a woman.
Okay, yeah.
Like all women. Like have women write it, have women direct it. Just that's what I want. There, if you're gonna make another Alien film, fucking have women make it.
Well, Ridley Scott has compared this to a possible Star Wars level franchise. Like they really want this to be like another big franchise for Fox. And no, it isn't. It isn't.
But here's the thing: the Alien 5 you are dreading. Ridley Scott, as much as he blocked it from happening recently, will be the main driving force behind it happening.
Please don't.
He's going to produce it at some point. And he's going to get a deeply untalented director to make it. Like whoever just got picked, whoever did the Beauty and the Beast movie.
Oh, fuck.
Will do it. So.
Did you watch that?
Fuck no.
All right, I did.
God damn, did you see those trailers?
I did. And I didn't think it looked good. What do I know?
all those Disney, other than Jungle Book. I like Jungle Book. That was
Hey,
about it.
Cinderella was good.
No, it wasn't.
What the fuck? Well, no, we're not getting into that. But I will say that Beauty and the Beast would have been exponentially better if a xenomorph burst out of Beast's chest and it was just like some weird
Oh, fuck yeah.
Beast xenomorph hybrid. I gotta watch that movie. There you go.
The next Alien film shouldn't be an Alien movie.
No, it should be another Prometheus style thing.
No, just like fucking like hey, Pineapple Express 2. And the whole movie is like Pineapple Express 2, and then out of fucking nowhere, in the third act, fucking the alien shows up. That's what the next Alien movie should be.
Is the alien hunting them down, or is it just chilling and smoking weed?
No, it just shows up. like James Franco's like, I think I smoked some bad shit. Blah! And then it bursts out of him. Don't explain how it happened. Just do it. That's the next Alien movie.
I would be on board with that. Yeah, you jest, but that sounds like the Predator setup. Like how every Predator movie is another movie before becoming a Predator movie. Like Predators is like Commando, and then it's the Predator shows up. So like you do different genres of movies, and then the alien bursts out of someone.
Yeah, and Predator 2 should have been like, kind of like a Dirty Harry movie. They kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, that's a weird movie because that's like the natural like continuation, and then they just like in tone and like idea wise for a Predator movie, and then this movie just kind of sucks.
It's just off enough to make it a bad movie.
Yeah,
like so.
Yeah. Well, would you say Alien Covenant is a bad movie?
No, I really wouldn't. Like as much as I was just shitting on it constantly, like I didn't hate it. Like it just left no impression on me. Like I very much just left the movie going like, yeah, like it's kind of like the Red Letter Media saying, it's like being dead for 90 minutes except you're eating popcorn.
Would you recommend Alien Covenant?
Only if you like tolerated Prometheus. If you didn't see Prometheus, don't go because you won't know what the fuck's happening. I'm really glad I rewatched Prometheus just so I knew what was going on.
The two you need to watch beforehand are Prometheus and Alien. At least
the fact that like Alien like is even connected to this. Alien is just such a perfect movie, and just they keep fucking it up. James Cameron was smart in his only decision being just to make it bigger. Like that's all it really should have been.
Do you think it's a symptom of like everyone thinking bigger is better, so they keep doing bigger Alien movies?
Well, they're not getting bigger. I don't think they are. I just think it's audiences not knowing what they want. Like everyone thinks they want another Alien movie, and you really don't. Like, I mean, like, do you really need to see another one? Like, really think about it.
Like for me, because I ended up liking this movie a lot. If they follow this trajectory more or less and keep throwing out these big ideas, whether or not they're fully fleshed out or otherwise, I'll be on board with it. Even if it's like Prometheus style, I won't say mishaps, but like kind of a mess. I will also be on board with it because it's at least ambitious, you know? It doesn't feel lazy to me. I could never criticize at least this current iteration of the franchise for being lazy. Like Alien
I wouldn't say that either. I just nothing about it makes me go, I want to see, like, I especially don't want to see another Xenomorph. Like, I kind of want to see David again. But even then, it feels like I'd rather read a book about David than see a movie.
Which brings me to my final point. So there will be a third one. I'm pretty sure we're going to get that green light sooner or later. And if they don't focus on David, that's a bigger misstep than including the Xenomorph in this movie. I have a theory on how David's little series is going to end, and it's with him, you know, obviously creating a queen or something like that, and then he'll get taken down through Xenomorphs turning on him or someone killing him, or maybe Walter overtakes him and sacrifices, whatever, you know. But his like last gesture is going to be uploading a bunch of engineer ships with a bunch of alien eggs, just launching them throughout space, and then he'll quote Ozymandias, whatever.
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias. And then he'll quote that again. And then that'll be it. And then you have infinite alien spin-offs forever after that.
And then Raymond Burr will show up and look directly into the camera and go, "Is man the true monster?"
Maybe.
Because these movies are about as deep as a Creature from the Black Lagoon sequel.
Oh, get off me. I think you're underselling these movies a little bit.
I'd rather watch The Creature Walks Among Us, which is when someone got the bright idea to give the Creature from the Black Lagoon lungs.
Is that real? I've never heard of that.
It's the last one, and the movie ends with the creature walking into the ocean because he doesn't realize he can't breathe in the ocean, and he dies.
Wow.
And then they go, "Is man the true monster?"
Is that the last line of the movie?
I don't think they actually say it, but that's how all those movies ended.
Okay.
I mean, Jesus. The problem is with your theory is that, I mean, the studio just wants more xenomorphs. They don't really give a fuck what Ridley Scott. And the moment they realize Ridley Scott's not bringing in the dough, they're fucking shit canning him off this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving it to Brett Ratner.
Oh, fuck! No. Don't say that. That's horrible. That
Like,
might be
literally
worse
all
than
we're waiting
Alien 5.
for. All we're waiting for is this franchise to really just get even worse, which is all it's going to get.
You know what? If I didn't like this as much as I do, and if I liked it less than like Prometheus, like as much as Alien Resurrection, I would totally understand where you're coming from. But I liked it, so I don't. So go away. Just kidding.
Well, you're being tricked.
I don't know. I feel confident in my
I mean,
decision.
but I'm laughing at you. But keep in mind, you're going to be laughing at me by the time Star Wars Episode 9 comes out.
No, we're on the same page with that one. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah, we're doomed.
All right.
Oh God, they are. Oh fuck, they're going to give Alien 5 to Colin Trevorrow.
Oh, please no.
He's like the perfect asshole to fuck it up.
I loved his characterization of all the women in Jurassic World.
Yeah, get ready for him to write Ripley.
Oh, fuck no. Oh, my God. He just has Hicks be the hero of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is fucking...
Give Hicks a motorcycle.
Bullshit.
Now he's got a character.
And then he rides alongside the xenomorphs.
Oh, fuck me. That's the other thing. That's like the last... When that finally happens and the xenomorphs are, like, friendly, that's when it's done. And you know it'll happen at some point.
I was joking, but if that ever happens, I will never watch another Alien movie again.
It's going to happen.
Fuck no. So, like, the Predators, I get. The Predators teaming up with the humans, I get.
Mm.
That would turn me off to the franchise forever. That would kill it for me.
It's going to happen.
That would be the most utterly misguided step, maybe in like a movie history.
It probably would be, but it'll have. They made the raptors friendly in Jurassic World. I mean, fuck. And somehow, we didn't fucking riot. Like, there's no universe where that should have been an acceptable idea.
You know, that's like so far and away my biggest, like my least big problem with that movie that like I'm whatever.
That's what's shocking. Because that should be the biggest problem. And it really isn't.
All right, well, we're going on Jurassic World tangents now. Any last thoughts on Alien Covenant, the Alien franchise again? Because this is going to be the last one until we hop over to AVP.
Yeah. Check it out. You might like it. I didn't, but that's all right.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think I even loved it. Like I am infatuated with it right now, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. And David is fucking horrifying. So, if you like scary robots, this is it. If you like the xenomorph, and you're expecting a regular xenomorph movie, you'll get it at the end, but it kind of doesn't work on its own. So,
And if you are expecting that, please stop asking for it,
Yeah, please let them be different.
because you will ruin this franchise eventually.
And if you want the sequel to Aliens that erases Alien 3 and 4, also stop asking for that because you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
You are wrong.
Yeah, there's no debate here.
This is not subjective. You are wrong. You think you want it. Here's the thing. You think you want it, and then you're gonna get it, and you're not gonna like it. This is a fact. You thought you wanted a fourth Indiana Jones movie. You people are always wrong.
Yeah.
And right now you think you want another Blade Runner movie. We're about to find out how that's going to play out.
Art is subjective. So subjectively.
But I'm always right.
Yeah, Matt is always right, obviously. Now, to paraphrase our good friend Shannon, art is subjective, and subjectively this would be the worst thing to ever happen to movies. So
yeah.
that's not. But Alien Covenant, a thumbs up and a thumbs down to steal from someone else. And
from two dead guys. They won't mind.
Matt, where can the people find you?
On Twitter at EmperorOTN. And that's it.
You can find me on Twitter at DEGGO Waffles, President Diego. Links to everything I do on my Twitter at one point or another. I won't barrage this podcast with all my links and attributes. Matt, thanks again for joining me for another episode of an Alien Retrospective.
Maybe if we're lucky, we will have a film that we can agree on to end it on.
that would be great.
That we both just love. I really wanted to come out of this like gushing, especially because you were gushing about it, and it just didn't happen.
But yeah. Maybe the third one, because did you like this better than Prometheus?
Yeah.
All right, so maybe the next one will be, maybe more your cup of tea too.
No, but all right.
All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. If you didn't like, subscribe anyways. You might find something you do like. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Holy